My name is Corey, and in today's episode of Holistic Self-Improvement, we're going to be finishing off this series. And today I'm going to be presenting you perhaps one of the most important, if not the most important parts of this journey, which are, drumroll please, the practical steps of holistic self-improvement. So what do you have to actually do in your day-to-day life to reach the goal of holistic self-improvement, which is, self-realization and escaping the matrix, so to speak. And most of the things that I'm going to be talking about today will be based on the teachings from Divine Avatar, and more specifically his book called Scriptures for the Now, which I'm going to be linking in the description below. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. So, the topics covered in this presentation are: number 1, who/what is divine or God or the Most High? Number 2, why does divine incarnate here? What's the purpose of divine coming to the earthly realm? Number 3 is the 3 things all humans must do in order to escape the matrix. Number 4 is how do we take care of the body using the 5 elements. Number 5 actually, how do we take care of our worldly duties? And in this segment, I'm going to be talking about what not to do in order to, stay on the path of Dharma or stay on the path of spiritual progress. And then I'm going to be talking about how we should evolve our spirit. This is more related to what to do, actually. And then I'm going to be talking about and finishing this presentation off with what should we always pay attention to while we perform our duties, or the try check. So let's jump right into our first topic, which is who/what is divine. For that, I just brought you guys a little excerpt from the book, PT's book, Scriptures for the Now, where he, quite deliberately defined divine the following way, which I'm going to read for you. One may ask, what is divine? As we are communicating in English, we have to use the word divine, which simply translates to divine or perfect branching, because it comes closest to the characteristics of Param Atman, a Sanskrit term. God is too loaded a word, mostly with misconceptions. Also, it is a male term, while divine is beyond male-female polarity. Even though Param Atman or divine is beyond the realm of words, the simplest definition is the original creative spark, which despite having created all the creations and dimensions, lies outside of it all. Divine supports and encompasses all good, real love, peace, harmony, non-violence, painlessness. Many of the innumerable qualities of divine, like perfection on all levels, are well documented in Vedic texts like the Puranas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, etc. Divine equals perfect fractality and perfect coherence. What these cannot be understood without a personal experience through divine's grace. In the present time, space, realm, world, PT Avatar is providing a glimpse into this fractality, coherence, and synchronicity through real-time sound and light events. As long as beings stay humble to divine, there is no pain or torture. Evil is born the moment any being rebels against the divine. This rebellion arises simply from wanting praise for itself, which it does not deserve. So, briefly, when it comes to relating to strictly who/what divine is perfect fractality and perfect coherence. on all levels, perfection on all levels. The original creative spark from which everything comes from, that lies outside of it all. And he's the supporter and the perfect embodiment of all good. Real love, peace, harmony, nonviolence, painlessness. And just a little disclaimer, I urge every single one of you to buy this book, Peace Gita, Scriptures for the Now. I'm going to link it in the description down below. He does a perfect job, naturally, a perfect job at explaining everything that I talk about in a lot more detail and in a lot better way. So if you're truly interested in holistic self-improvement, go to the source, go to him, look at his channel, look at his videos, listen to his music and read his books and try to implement everything that he says. And then you'll have wonderful results through divine's grace. Okay, furthermore, I have a few excerpts from the Bhagavad Gita, mainly chapter 10, where Krishna and Arjun talk about, well, some of the innumerable qualities of divine. And I would like to read this as well to you. So, Bhagavad Gita 10:1. The Lord said, "Listen again to my divine teachings, O mighty armed one. Desiring your welfare because you are my beloved friend, I shall reveal them to you. Neither celestial gods nor the great sages know of my origin. I am the source from which the gods and great seers come. Those who know me as unborn and beginningless, and as the supreme Lord of the universe, they among mortals are free from illusion and released from all evils. From me alone arise the varieties of qualities in humans, such as intellect, knowledge, clarity of thought, forgiveness, truthfulness, control over the senses and mind, joy and sorrow, birth and death, fear and courage, non-violence, equanimity, contentment, austerity, charity, fame and infamy. I am the origin of all creation. Everything proceeds from me. The wise who know this perfectly worship me. The wise who know this perfectly worship me with great faith and devotion." Arjun said, "You are the supreme divine personality, the supreme abode, the supreme purifier, the eternal God, the primal being, the unborn and the greatest. The great sages like Narad, Asid, Deval, and Vyas proclaimed this, and now you are declaring it to me yourself. O Krishna, I totally accept everything you have told me as the truth. O Lord, neither gods nor the demons can understand your true personality. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your inconceivable energy, O Supreme Personality, the Creator and Lord of all beings, the God of gods, and the Lord of the universe." So yeah, this just kind of, these excerpts from the Bhagavad Gita just kind of reinstate everything that PT said in his book as well, and show you a great example of how you should approach divine with the utmost humility and with constant praise. So yeah, divine is perfection on all levels, beyond any kind of comprehension. So let's move forward to our second topic, which is, why does divine incarnate here? Since we know that he lies outside all of creation and he created it all, like, why would he come back here? What is his goal? What's his purpose here? Let us see, shall we? So, according to PT, divine's avatar intent. Do you think God/divine manifests on earth in flesh and blood to listen to your sins, cries for forgiveness, demands for this and that? No. The divine comes down simply to play and see who is willing to play. Within his divine parameters, of course. That's the one and only judgment. And I'd like to go a little more further. The age-old question. What are beings created for? A question that boggles many, many minds and hearts. The answer, as always, is quite simple. Beings are created for playing with the original creator, the divine, on divine's terms, of course. Evil was nothing but a refusal to play with the divine on divine's terms. Hell's pain, torture, and infinite boredom was/is the outcome of that refusal. So yeah, divine comes here to show you how you can play with divine on his terms. What are his terms? What are divine's terms? And how do you play with him or divine? It's beyond the male-female polarity, but I will just refer to divine as a male because it's easier and that's what comes to my mouth. But we have already established that divine is beyond the male-female polarity. So why does divine come here? He comes here to show us how the game is played through his example, through his words, and through his actions, and to see who's willing to play with him and experience the joy that is the grace of divine. And everybody who goes against that and wants recognition for themselves, recognitions which they don't deserve, quite frankly, well, they will be led to hell, pain, torture, and infinite boredom, which I've talked about before in the previous episode, actually. Yeah, I've explained it quite well in the previous episode. You know, evil and good and the use of free will has been thoroughly explained by me in the previous episode of this series, so we know that quite well. So, divine comes here to play, show us how to play, and see who's willing to come along and play with him. Alright, so the next topic is, well, quite frankly, how should we play? What are the 3 things that all humans must do in order to, well, play with divine? For that, I'd like to just quote one of PT's videos, which I'm going to show you. I've embedded it in this presentation. Oh, yeah. Okay. So all the pictures that I show you in this presentation are from this video. 3 things humans need to do by PT. PT speaks 3 things all humans are expected to do on Earth. Prashant Trivedi. So if you want to deepen your knowledge in this, please watch the video. But essentially, what he proclaims is that number one, humans must take care of their body. Take care of your body. Body being the basic instrument, the basic tool given here on Earth to perform action, to feel like oneself, right? Number 2 is survival in the world and dealing with the world. So nowadays it's about, paying your rent or paying your bills or buying food in the market or in the supermarkets. Just taking care of busyness in the world. Like it's part of survival out here on Earth. Back in the old times, it was like, hunting and foraging and gathering and farming and stuff like that. Today it has evolved for the better or the worst. Who knows? But just taking care of your survival in the world and dealing with the world is part of the deal when it comes to being a human. Inevitable. And lastly, and most importantly, working on your spiritual evolution. Yeah, so taking care of the body, taking care of worldly duties, and working on spiritual evolution are the 3 things all humans must do inherently. Okay, so this brings quite a lot of questions. How do we take care of the body? What are the practical steps that one must take in order to take care of the human body? I'm glad you asked. For that, I'm just going to use a little, this 5-element system that I like to use, which I personally abide by. And it will make more sense when I start getting into it. So we know the 5 elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. These are the 5 elements. And for each element, I try to associate a practice that balances that given element in your body. So for example, number 1, the earth. To balance the earth element in the body, one must be grounding. Grounding means, touching grass, touching a tree, going outside and putting your bare foot on the soil, like electrical grounding, actually. And another practice that I like for the balancing of the earth element, or like the body, is stretching. Stretching is so important, especially nowadays when a lot of us work every day in our seats in front of computers. Stretching is super beneficial for the body. I love it. It makes you feel like you're actually in your body, and putting awareness on your body parts, on your muscles, feeling where you have tension that needs to be released, and actually proactively releasing that tension, thus, increasing your blood flow, loosening your tight muscles, and just feeling like you're in your body. It's very good for you. And most importantly, centering the body. So keeping your spine erect and keeping your whole posture along your central axis. These 3 practices will help you balance the earth element of your body. So let's go to the second element, which is water. So preferably, it's kind of hard nowadays, but preferably you have to drink/bathe in purified, preferably mineral water. So on a practical sense, I personally bought a water purifier to my tap, and bought a water purifier shower head to my shower. So I try to purify my water. And I use the purified water and I put it in a copper glass, an 8-liter copper container, water container that has a keg in it. So copper actually purifies water as well, and it charges it electrically. So yeah, this might sound like woo-woo stuff, but it's actually true. And there are scientific studies, well-documented scientific studies about the benefits of keeping water and copper. And people in India have been doing it for thousands of years. So it's actually true. Copper does purify water. So I use the attachable water purifier on the tap, and I put that purified water in the copper glass or the copper vessel, and then I drink that water. That way I can be drinking the cleanest possible water at home. But your best bet and your best option is just to get mineral water from a creek somewhere where it's fresh. But not all of us have access to that. So the second best option is water purifier and copper glasses or copper vessels. And for bathing, bathing is very important as well, because you can be keeping yourself super clean and then bathe with not so clean water, and that literally washes off all the cleanliness that you had. And it's just not good. So it's kind of important it's very important to use a water purifier on your shower head as well, if you really truly care about balancing the elements in your body and giving the best for your human organism. All right, so that was water. Now comes fire. For balancing the fire element, you should stay active. You should exercise. You should move. You should always stay active to keep the fire burning, to keep the oxygen pumping through your veins and through your bloodstream, just to be vital, be active, be alive always exercise, always go somewhere, always speak things and speak the proper things, and just keep the fire burning. Just be in a constant flow, or a constant action to keep the fire burning. And also, fire relates to your digestive fire as well, which, entails being mindful of what you eat. So one should minimize ultra-processed foods, dairy, meat, and GMO produce. Just to name a few of the most important ones. But I've alluded to that. Like I've explained this further in my Ashtanga Yoga series in the Yama section. So if you're interested in that and how to like have a clean diet and what to be mindful of, then watch that video as well. But briefly, it's no ultra processed foods, no dairy products, meat, or GMO produce, preferably, or minimal to no any of that. Meat is an absolute no-go. All the others are kind of absolute no-goes as well, but you do what you can do at this moment in time, okay? Not everybody can afford to not eat dairy or not eat any kind of GMO produce. So for the time being, just try to minimize these things as much as possible to keep your digestive fires working as well as possible, and also stay active at all times. And our fourth element is air. How do you balance the air element in your body? Diaphragmatic breathing through the nose. So whenever you breathe through your nose and breathe into your stomach, so to speak. You're not breathing into your stomach, but try to breathe into the full capacity of your lungs. Try to breathe to the bottom of your lungs. Actually, like, expand your diaphragm and just feel the air circulating in your whole entire lungs. Don't be a shallow breather and don't be a mouth breather. And that way the air will be distributed evenly in your lungs, and you'll be able to like get in more oxygen and excrete more carbon dioxide in a more efficient way. There are a number of studies showcasing how mouth breathing is not beneficial, how it's a lot more preferable to breathe through the nose. And the mouth has a lot of purposes. The nose has only one, breathing. So you should use that for breath, and you should use the mouth for everything else that the mouth is designed for, okay? And yeah, you should breathe clean air. So you should be out in nature, breathing the air out in nature, in mountains or next to lakes or in the beach. Wherever there's like a pure nature area, you should be going out there and breathing that kind of air. But a lot of us, including me, live in cities where the air is super polluted. So the best thing we can do is just to buy an air purifier at home. I bought one. I use it. I try to purify my air in my house, and I try to, whenever I have to stay inside, I just try to get the best out of my situation and just use tools that help me get as pure as possible, that help me get the best air, the best water, and the best everything that I could possibly get. So yeah, go out in nature, breathe fresh air, but if you can, just buy an air purifier and use that so that you can get the best out of what you got. And then lastly, we have the ether element. The ether is the most subtle element of them all, and it relates to the mind and all the unseen things that are out in the world. Oh man, this is not a super accurate description that I gave to you, but the ether is very subtle. And we have an Ethernet cable, and we're talking, and I'm showcasing all these things on the internet, which is essentially an Ethernet. So everything that's a more refined, a more, subtle, a more mental things are related to the ether element. So how do you balance that? By You balance that by listening to talks, music, sounds that are pure and beneficial for evolution, that have been created with the intent of helping you evolve, and that are imbued with vibrations that elevate and lift your spirit up. And this includes talks, music, any kind of sounds that you listen to, and also the content that you watch should be, conducive to your evolution. And that's how you balance your mind, and that's how you balance the ether element. So yeah, basically this is the list that gives you a pretty clear outline on the practical steps that one has to take in order to balance the human body. Okay, so our next topic is, how do we take care of our worldly duties? And in this segment, I'm just gonna mostly talk about what not to do, and then that leaves the rest of the things that you can do, which you should do. And this will make more sense in the next slide. So, don't do work that goes against divine law. What do I mean by that? Well, as you can see, the Wolf of Wall Street perfectly illustrates what you should not be doing. But more on that a little later. So, first of all, you should avoid supporting the killing of animals and the distribution of killed animals. Yeah, killing animals and eating meat is not beneficial for spiritual evolution, and it goes against divine law. We'll see on the next slide how and why that's so. But the point is that if you support that, you're digging a hole under yourself, and you're not going up, but you're going down. So you should avoid doing that at all costs. And that goes to working in restaurants that serve meat as well. That goes to anything that has to do with the distribution and the production of meat. And I know that's super difficult, especially nowadays, to find a job, especially without a degree where you don't have to touch meat in any kind of way. But try to find a job that doesn't involve doing anything related to animal remains. It might not be immediate. You might not immediately get it. I've worked jobs that had to do with animals as well. It made me feel really bad afterwards. But I tried applying to jobs that don't involve that, and I eventually found one. And now I'm happy and content and fulfilled with the job that I do have. It has nothing to do with the distribution of killed animals. So just stay at it and you'll get there. Number 2 is promoting and facilitating gambling. Yeah, gambling has nothing to do with your spiritual evolution. It is strictly a materialistic thing, and it just plays on the very, very, very basic functions of your mental faculties, and anything that promotes it or facilitates it is just out there to, well, take your soul, essentially. And if you promote or facilitate gambling, or you contribute to the promotion of or the facilitation of gambling, you're in for a treat, but not a good one. So yeah, please avoid doing that. Number 3 is the promotion and facilitation of drug use. And that, in my book, that includes ultra-processed foods and alcohol as well. So if you're working with drugs, alcohol, or super ultra-processed foods, which are poison, which are actually drugs, because cane sugar and cocaine are the same when it comes to their addictive properties, and also the same when it comes to their damaging properties to the human body as well. But that's a topic for another day. If you work in an industry that promotes or facilitates drug use, that will halt your spiritual evolution, and you should try to leave that profession as soon as humanly possible if your goal is to evolve spiritually. Number 4 is promoting and facilitating lust in immoral promiscuity. I mean, promiscuity is immoral to begin with, but that's besides the point. So if you work in industries like OnlyFans, porn, what have you, that promote or facilitate immoral promiscuity, then you should stop doing that as soon as possible if you want to evolve spiritually, because that goes against divine law. Every single thing that I've listed here goes against divine law and should be avoided by those who seek to evolve. And number 5 is promoting / displaying behaviors that represent / evoke the 7 deadly sins in others. So every public figure, every actor, every movie, every book of fiction or reality that promotes and displays behaviors that can evoke the 7 deadly sins in others are doing the job of the devil. Actually, they're doing the job of those whose goal is to deter you from the path of spiritual evolution. Yeah. So every movie, every book, every TV show, every public figure that you saw who displayed behaviors that, represent the deadly sins, 7 deadly sins, and evoke those kind of behaviors in others, they're doing you a disservice when it comes to your spiritual evolution, and they're doing themselves an even greater disservice. And that's why I put this picture here, because Leonardo DiCaprio is not looking so good when it comes to his spiritual evolution, nor does anyone in Hollywood really. But I'd just like to elaborate on the supporting of the killing of animals and the 7 deadly sins a little more in the next slide. So what are the 7 deadly sins that you must look out for when it comes to, evaluating people and people's behaviors? And whenever you see any of these things pop up in people's behaviors, just have this lens in your eyes, have this lens in your mind. Whenever you see these kind of behaviors promoted, just think about the fact that, okay, this is not good for me. This is only good to show me what not to do, but I must avoid these kind of behaviors at all costs. So the 7 deadly sins are lust, or unrestrained sexual craving, gluttony, the overindulgence, especially by overeating, but this could be anything else of like worldly pleasure, pride, inflated sense of one's accomplishments, sloth, laziness, lack of effort, wrath, uncontrolled feelings of hatred and anger, greed, the excessive desire for material things, and envy, jealousy towards another's happiness. So if you watch Andrew Tate, for example, he perfectly embodies pretty much all of these deadly sins. But most of popular media, most of the figures in popular media embody multiple of these traits, some of them, all of these traits, all at once. So this is easy to see in today's world, especially when it comes to media and public figures. So try to avoid anything that kind of showcases that, and try to do the 7 virtues instead of the 7 deadly sins whenever it comes to your profession and your day-to-day life. And when it comes to animals and the killing and distribution of animals, it's one of, if not the worst kind of karmic cycles and greatest bondages to the human beings on earth at this time. The mass distribution and killing of animals, because according to Srimad Bhagavatam, if one has killed an animal, one must himself be killed by that same animal. This is called mamsa. Mam means me and sa means he. As I am eating an animal, that animal will have the opportunity to eat me. Therefore, if you eat meat, if you eat animals, or if you contribute to that in any way, shape, and form, you are locking your spirit into the earth, into the karmic cycle of the earth, because you're granting the opportunity for that animal to kill you in a subsequent life. You're not leaving the matrix if you're eating meat, because you're locking yourself into this karmic chain. So one must avoid the killing of animals. And if you buy animal products like meat in the supermarket, that counts as killing animals, bro. Like, you are eating a dead animal. Just because you didn't kill it, you're eating a dead animal. You're contributing to that, and you're granting them the opportunity to kill you in a subsequent life. So avoid meat at all costs. That's my and the Vedas' humble opinions. Okay. So how do we evolve our spirit? What are the practical steps one has to take to evolve their spirit? First, I would like to showcase the kind of attitude that you must have and the kind of like mental preparation that you must have when it comes to your spiritual evolution. And then I'll give you the practical steps based on the teachings of PT. So, PT says, rock and roll. Real rock and roll is about having individuation and independence. It's about taking responsibility for one's own self, self being the body, mind, spirit, soul trinity. It takes a lot of discipline, learning attitude, and knowledge to get there. The prevalent, publicized, globalized version, which has idols who are basically suicidal and do not take any responsibility for the self, is not rock and roll. That rock is never gonna roll. Real rock and roll is only by higher/divine, which can actually take one higher. So when it comes to spiritual evolution, you must take full responsibility of your own self, or your actions, or your thoughts, or your emotions, your body, your mind, and your soul/spirit. And that takes a lot of discipline, that takes a lot of humility, a learning attitude, a childlike attitude, when, if we want to use Bible terminology, and knowledge, a lot of knowledge, and applied knowledge, knowledge with a G. That's how you should approach spiritual life. This is the way that you are going to evolve. This is like the basic pretense that has to be embedded in your mind when it comes to this journey. And on a practical sense, you must follow the 3 pillars of right behavior, which are none other than praising, bowing, and serving. And divine, or anybody who's higher than you. But this natural sequence is explained a little further by PT in his book as well, in the following way. Praising, bowing, and serving, the most natural sequence. When one comes across a praiseworthy being more higher and divine than oneself, it is natural to praise. Repetition of that praise naturally leads to bowing. Repetition of that bowing naturally leads to serving. And this sequence lifts one out of any hell into higher consciousness and higher realms. So, if you see a being who's more spiritually evolved than you, you must praise them, like Arjuna did to Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita excerpt that I showed you at chapter 10, verse 12/15. 12 to 15, or shloka 12 to 15. And that's the kind of approach and that's the kind of attitude you must have, that Arjuna displayed towards Krishna. And you must repeat these praises, and you must bow down, and you must do service to the divine in order to escape the matrix and just acquire a greater degree of inner coherence and evolve your spirit upwards. So, how should we pray? How should we praise? What is a proper way to do praising? Because bowing, we know how to bow. Service, I'm going to get to that more later. But let's just start off with praying and praising. How do we do that? Well, lucky for us, PT also talked about this in his book as well. So prayer. There are those who are suggesting that prayer is done in silence. Prayer comes from the term pray, which in turn comes from the term praise. Prayer is nothing but praise of higher/divine, and this praise is done through words and deeds, not silence. Silence is the mark of the insincere. All the devotees of divine in all ages have one thing in common: praise of divine through word, song, and deed. The more continuous this praise is, the closer to divine they are. They are not afraid of praising divine, using their mouth and all that the divine has given them, and they can/will do it in any situation. They don't need solitude or silence for it, just like a lover doesn't mind expressing his love, even in a crowded place. So, praise all the qualities of divine that you know of. I told you a few in the past slides when it comes to like when I talked about who the divine is, and just repeat that. Try to learn more from the Vedas and the Puranas and the every kind of Vedic text. You have an endless sea of information where you can learn from all the innumerable qualities of divine, and just write them down, memorize them, and repeat them every single day as many times as you can through your mouth, and try to live by those principles that divine propagates. And just a little hint, that's actually how you serve divine, by living by his standards, praising the divine, and actually telling that to others to do so. So what I'm doing is service to divine in a nutshell. So yeah, that's how you do it. But now I'm just going to give you a practical outline of how I pray, how I do my praises every morning and every night, and even throughout the day. That's what I do. This is my habit. And yeah, this is just a practical outline, a step-by-step guide on how you should pray to see results. Okay, so number one is I get on my knees on my yoga mat and I bow down as much as I can, as deeply as I can. I bow down and I start from a place of humility. And then I address divine by the names of many of its incarnations, or at least as much as I know. Like divine has infinite incarnations, but I just invoke it. Like I say Krishna, Madhusudana, Gudakesha, Adipurusha, Param Atman, Nrisimha. I say all the things that I know. Rama, all the divine incarnations that I know of. I say all the names. Vishnu, Narayan, Govinda. I say all these things. That's the invocation. That's how you address divine. Because whenever you're trying to talk to someone, well, you have to address them first. You have to be like, hey, Mark, hey, John, hey, Peter, hey, whoever it may be. You have to address them. And I've embedded a link of a playlist called Odes to Divinities by PT, where he has 43 songs that are specifically invoking divinities by PT. I urge you to watch that as well. It's very beneficial for you. It's very good for the ears, for the mind, and for the spirit as well. So bow down and address divine. And then I start praising the attributes of nature and divine that I know of. Well, I've already alluded to that. So you can use the Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, or you can use PT scriptures for the now to find out these qualities of the divine, or you can use any kind of Vedic text listed in PT's book to try and find some of the innumerable perfect qualities of divine that you can be praising. There are innumerable perfect qualities of divine. There's no end to them. You can always find something new that you can praise, because divine is infinite, it's eternal, it's beyond comprehension. You can always find something to praise when it comes to divine. So just try to find the ones that you feel most drawn to and write them down and repeat them over and over and over again. So praise, and you can praise nature as well. And that's a good starting point, actually. Just praising nature. Like, how beautiful is that tree? How fresh is that water? I love the way the sun beams at my body. It makes me feel very warm and refreshed. I love the sun. I'm so grateful for the moon's glow and for the moon for controlling the waters on earth and providing for us and controlling the tides and helping us live in harmony on earth. I'm so grateful for the fresh air that I can breathe that makes me live. I'm so grateful for the fire for providing the heat and the light that I need for my sustenance. I'm so grateful for the earth for taking me in and providing me with this beautiful machinery that I call the human body and allowing me to live here on earth in peace, serving God, evolving myself. Something like that, bro. And in the beginning, it might be hard. It might not come naturally. You might have like a little funky feeling when it comes to prayer. But once you get that ball rolling, oh my God, it just flows. It's just a constant stream of flow, of praise, of just, and the more you do it, the better it feels. So, number 4 is showing gratitude. I have a list of things that I show gratitude to. I show gratitude to my connections when it comes to nature and human beings as well. I show gratitude to my circumstances, the kind of like the fact that I have a fortunate birth and that I have everything that I need provided for me by God, by divine's grace, to help me evolve and purify myself. I show gratitude to the elements of nature and divine, the kind of same way that I just, proposed to you, like 2 minutes ago. And I just show gratitude, like thank you for all the things that I have the opportunity to connect with, that I can use for my spiritual evolution. And thank you for all my successes and experiences that I had in my life that shaped me to become the person who I am right now. And number 5 is admitting my shortcomings, repentance. I like to repent. I like to say, I'm sorry for all the things that I knowingly or unknowingly performed. And I ask for help with those things. Like, God, please help me overcome my shortcomings and just become a better person and a better servant of yours. Number 6 is asking for help. As I said before, I'm asking for help with discipline and awareness so that I can get even purer, so that I can serve God even better, and that I'm more mindful of keeping divine laws in all circumstances. Number 7 is gratitude and praise again. Just whatever comes to mind. There are infinite ways you can show gratitude and praise to divine. It's up to you at this point. I told you everything that I know. And number 8, I finish the prayer by saying, please align my thoughts and actions in accordance with your divine will. And I asked and said these things in the mighty name of Christ. Okay? Krishna, Christ, for me, that's the same being. The Christ essence, the Christ is the one, in my opinion. So yeah, I asked things in the name of Christ. And one thing that I started doing like a few months ago that I didn't write here is offering. I offer my day to divine. I offer my every meal, not every meal, but I try to offer, because I'm not super mindful of that at all times. This is a new habit for me, so it takes time to implement. Just like these habits will take time to implement. But slowly but surely, you will be able to do all of these things. It might take months, it might take years, but it's the only thing that you should be doing, so it's worth the journey, worth the effort. So, offering goes the following way. I offer all my actions, all my thoughts, and all my emotions throughout a given day to divine to help me purify those thoughts, actions, and emotions, and to help me become a channel for divine through his Holy Spirit and through his perfect presence. I offer everything that I have, and I ask divine to accept everything that he can and purify that. That's another step before finishing the prayer. After gratitude, I do an offering as well. And you can do that before your meals too. Whenever you eat something, you can offer it to God and ask him to accept anything that he can from it. And then, after I'm done with talking, I stay in a bowing position for a little longer, 30 seconds, a minute, 2 minutes, sometimes even 5, whichever feels good. Just so that the vibrations that I was emitting through my speech, through my mouth, have time to like settle. I am in that state of being that I evoked through my speech in my prayers. Okay? So I'm just there. I'm experiencing whatever it is that I've created through my words, whatever kind of inner state that I've evoked in myself. I'm just being mindful of that. And then I slowly and gracefully get up and go on with my day and perform my duties to the best of my abilities. Okay, and lastly, what must we always pay attention to while we perform our duties? The try check. As if all these things weren't enough, as if all the things that I just listed here weren't enough to do, we still have more to pay attention to. But this is the last thing that I'm going to talk about today, and then I'll leave you guys. But the try check is essentially, so up until now, I told you what you should and should not be doing, and the try check is concerned with how you should be doing or not doing these things on a practical sense every single day. So the try check consists of 3 elements, which are the threefold disciplines of the human body. The try check is this, and there's actually a video of that as well that PT made, which explains it a lot better than I do, naturally, which is the threefold disciplines of the body. So please watch that video after you're done with this one. But in short, PT calls these 3 disciplines of the body the try check, which human beings must practice all the time, constantly. He highlights that these disciplines promote awareness and consciousness of the body, allowing beings to check themselves and bring their bodies back to a centered state, which is crucially important. Bringing yourself back to the center is meditation. Middle, center, meditation. So the number 1 pillar of the try check is discipline of posture. PT explains that posture involves maintaining the correct alignment of the body, meaning you aligning yourself with your central axis or keeping your spine erect and in the center at all times, being mindful of that at all times. Whenever you start slouching, just have this thought pop into your mind like, oh, posture. It took me 4 years. It literally took me 4 years to get my posture like that. I'm like, for the most part, when I'm not like laying in a bed, I'd say I catch myself slouching within 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't think I spend more than 5 minutes on a slouched position or in a slouched posture because I've engraved it in my mind. I literally, through repetition, I've engraved it in my mind to be mindful when I'm slouching, when I'm not keeping a good posture. And sometimes I slouch, but then it just pops into my mind like, posture, you know? And the more you practice that, the more mindful you become of that, the better it'll work. And for me personally, it took 4 years to get to a point where I'm satisfied with my, posture and my mindfulness of my posture. For you, it might take months. For you, it might take 10 years. But that's the only thing you should be focused on. So it's worth the effort. Number 2 is discipline of face. Facial discipline requires consciously controlling facial expressions at all times. So whenever an emotion or a thought pops up, or an external impulse pops up that evokes an emotion in you that would, make you behave in a certain way, make you show a certain kind of facial expression, you create a gap. You create a gap between the impulse and the expression of that impulse. And you discipline your face. You don't just act out everything that you feel, hear, or see that evokes any kind of thought or emotion in you. You create distance between your thoughts and your actions, and you evaluate them, and you discipline your actions. And number 3 is discipline of speech. Speech discipline emphasizes speaking the right things, pure principles, or praises of nature and higher and divine in the right way. And the right way of speaking is from the center of the mouth. We can see it on a lot of people. I've been very mindful of it, thanks to PT, that most people you see speak not from the center of their mouths. So they speak like this or they speak like that, from the side. And there are like accents that are specifically designed to like talk like this, You know what I'm talking about. Most people don't speak from the center of their mouths, and a lot of people don't really open their mouth. They just talk like this, and that's not good. You should open your mouth wide and speak from the center. Speak every syllable from the center of your mouth. And PT has a great practice for that, which goes the following way. So you tilt your head backwards like 30 degrees. You take a deep breath. You open your mouth as wide as you can. And then you say an aw sound. Once you start running out of air, you slowly bring your head back into a, centered position. And you can repeat this exercise as many times as you want, preferably every day, as many times as you can. And this will open up your jaw, and this will help you speak from the center of your mouth. And later on, once you've practiced the ah, you can say the e, o, oo, all the vowels of the alphabet the same way. And that will help you center yourself, center your speech, and help you open up your jaw and speak properly. So yeah, thank you for your attention. Thank you for listening to me talking about who divine is, what's divine's intention, what we should do as human beings, what we should not do as human beings, how do we practically evolve our spirits, and what we should be mindful of at all times. Thank you for listening to me talk about these things. I hope you've learned from this presentation, and I hope you'll apply everything that I just listed here, because these are of crucial importance. Every single one of these things that I just said are crucially important for your well-being and your human evolution. And I personally do all of these things. I do fail at them. I do neglect them at times, but I always pick them back up, and I always try to strive and prosper in these areas of my life. Whenever I start slacking, I pick myself back up and I do it 1,000 times harder. And I've been on this path for the past 4 years, and I've made a lot of progress, and there's still a lot of progress to make. But this is the kind of template, this is the kind of guideline that I personally use for my own spiritual evolution. I do fail, I'm not perfect, but these are the principles that I try my best to live by. And I know for a fact that eventually I will embody it as much as I can. So yeah, thank you for your attention. I hope you could learn from this presentation, and I hope you will apply everything that I've stated here gradually with time. And I'm wishing you the best. Thank you, and see you in the next video. Cory out.